This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Well, welcome to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, Jeannie Kuhn. Jeannie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, thanks for joining us. Well, before we find out what you're actually doing today, if you would, could you please tell me, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I grew up, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, wow. Now, at what age did you have that aspiration?
Ever since I can remember. I was always debating with anyone who gave me the time. And so I always wanted to do that. And people were like, you're going to be a great lawyer. You're going to be a great lawyer. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to speak my truth, and then fight for everyone else. I want to be that superhero.
That's awesome.
Fighting for that cause.
So did you go dressed up as a lawyer for Halloween? Or was it more like Wonder Woman?
Yeah. No. I always had like the little skirts and the suits. So yes, I was a very professional lawyer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, now what do you do today?
And today I'm the Community Relations Manager at Life Center Organ Donor Network, which is an organ tissue donation agency. So
Wow.
we coordinate everything from A to Z related to donation and transplantation.
Wow, I find that fascinating because that's very time sensitive, everything you do, correct?
Correct.
Well, take us from the wanting to be a lawyer to what you do today, like kind of your career path.
Okay. So I've always wanted to be a lawyer. So I went to school. During my college years, I did a lot of my internships at law firms. So I was a legal assistant, a paralegal, and I did that on my off time. And then probably my 4th year, I was graduating from college, and it's my 4th year doing these types of internships, and one day I just realized that I didn't want to be a lawyer. That what I wanted to do was help people or make a difference, right? So most of us want to be able to leave a stamp in the world with something positive. And I realized I didn't have to go to law school to do that there was other avenues that I could help. So then I started focusing more on just working in nonprofits. So it didn't matter what I was doing in the nonprofit as long as I knew that I was doing something good, that I was helping someone, and that when I was
Larger
going
cause.
home, when I was going home, I was feeling good, that I was helping. And so I did I worked at a couple of nonprofits, and it was great, but sometimes I felt like the mission was lost because we were so focused on just having a nonprofit, right? So the day-to-day. So we were focusing a lot on fundraising, which is great, but a lot of times it wasn't just solely for the program. It was just for us to be able to do the jobs that we were doing. And then I just kind of fell into this position. It was still a nonprofit, but I never really thought about organ and tissue donation at all.
Yeah,
right?
who does?
Nobody thinks about it.
Right.
So, but when I went to get my driver's license renewed, they'll ask it, right? Do you want to register as an organ tissue donor? And for me, it was always a yes, because I'm like, well, when I pass away, if I can help someone else, then why not? But it's not that simple. It isn't simple like that for folks. Some people think the same way I do, but not everybody does. And that's something that I've learned after I started at Life Center. When I started at Life Center, I started as a dual program. So I was doing public education, but I was also doing the development side. So, we're writing grants to be able to do some of the programs we wanted to do, and just really trying to get the information out there. But I really like the education portion of it. So I go out into the community, which I like to do because I like to meet new people, and just talk about donation. Just bring it, having that dialogue, which people didn't, because they equate donation with death.
Right.
And that's how people see it, right? So it was really trying to change that culture. That yes, someone has to die in order for someone to live. But for a lot of these families, that's a positive thing.
Right.
The one and only thing that comes out of something so tragic. So that's where, that sticks with me because, we're helping people that way.
And you could be helping multiple people.
And we're helping, and you never know who you help either. Right?
Right.
So when I'm out in the community, I'm talking to these folks. that small conversation can lead to many other conversations. And who knows how many people I can change just by that information. So,
now, what is your typical work week like? Like, who are you dealing with, and just a day in the life?
Okay, so a day in a life at Life Center. So I come in, so I do a lot of community outreach, but I also coordinate these. So not only am I scheduling these events, but I'm actually at these events as well. When I first started, I was hitting the pavement, calling folks and say, hey, would you mind having somebody come out, maybe sit out at your lunch breaks or do a lunch and learn about donation. And I didn't really get a whole lot of responses, and I think it's because people just really didn't talk about it, and they didn't think about it, and they were kind of weary about donation at large. So it was really just kind of hitting the pavement and just, having getting the word out, and then I participate at different events, and people will call me and say, I saw you at this event, will you come out to mine? So it's kind of what I do now. Now people are calling me and say, I just saw a billboard, or someone in my organization just received a transplant, or someone's loved one passed away and they were a donor. So we're getting a lot of folks just contacting us on their own. So, which is great. I mean, when I tell people, it's been like night and day from when I started to where we are today. And I think it's in general. And I think even now when I go out, people are so open about it, which they weren't in the past. Like, people come up and say, they'll tell me their story, which is wonderful.
Wow.
So I work with our volunteers. So once I schedule these events, I also work with our volunteers to secure them. And the nice thing about the folks that volunteer with our organization is that the majority of them are people who have been impacted by donation and transplantation.
So they're all in.
So they're all in. Those are our advocates. And they're really just walking and breathing mission, right? So we're telling you that donation and transplantation works. We tell you how positive it is. And I tell folks all the time, I go out, I can give you all the statistics, and I can be a resource.
Talk to that guy.
Yeah. And then, nothing resonates more than when someone says, you know what, someone said yes, and I'm here today because of that.
Right.
And I walked my daughter down the aisle because I had that chance. So
You're gonna make me cry.
I know. I seen the birth of my grandchildren. So it's amazing. But that sticks with anyone far more than when I say that right now we're nearing 115,000 people waiting.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And that's current, and not everyone on that list, on the waiting transplant list, is going to receive the organs that they need to survive. And that's just because I feel like everything we do today in education is for future, right? So we're hoping that it'll get better. And so, but right now, supply and demand is very out of sorts.
Right.
So there's more people waiting than there are organs available.
Right. Wow. That's unfortunate. Well, looking back on your career, what would you do differently?
I don't think I would do anything differently.
Okay.
I think that all of the things I've done to this point has led me here. I'm satisfied in what I'm doing, and it's very rare when you hear people say, I don't know if I'm making a difference, because I feel that like I am making a difference.
Right.
When families come up to me and they're like, what you guys do has really helped me in my grieving. So I'm not ever looking at the bottom line or at the numbers. None of that really matters as much as it is those personal testimonials. So that's what keeps me getting up in the mornings and coming to work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now let's talk to the student who would like to do what you do. So that could be your actual job, or it could be, community engagement specialist, however you want to phrase it. What advice would you give them? Is there a typical career path?
So my organizations have people from all walks of life. So we have, I was a double major in English and poli-sci, political science. So did that prepare me for this? Not so much. But we have nurses that are now working for Life Center. We have folks who have done social work, pastoral care. We have paramedics, EMTs. Folks have done anything in community relations, whether it's they got a marketing degree. So I would just say whatever you want to do, just stick with it. And if you don't stick with what you want to do, it's okay too.
Yeah.
It's not a sign of failure, because the nice thing is that you come to a point where you're like, this is what I want to do. And when you find that nice sweet spot, then anything that got you there is not so bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking us on your career journey today.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.